There seems to be a debate going on between legal luminaries or experts in international law, experts, quote unquote, as to whether the incident, the laser incident, wherein a Chinese Coast Guard vessel pointed a military grade laser at a Philippine Coast Guard vessel, an armed attack or not. For most of us, this would be a no brainer, common sense, so to speak. But we understand the complexities of international law. And we also understand the pretensions, the hypocrisy of diplomacy. According to the accounts of the Philippine Coast Guard, their ship was on its way to Ayungin Shoal. Ayungin Shoal is known internationally as the Second Thomas Shoal, which is located somewhere in the West Philippine Sea, which is also known as the South China Sea. When the Chinese Coast Guard vessel tried to cut them off, tried to prevent them from delivering the supplies or logistics to a crew of Philippine Navy personnel stationed in the area. Um, and in order to stop them from making the delivery, the Chinese vessel pointed or directed the military grade laser twice towards or straight inside the deck of the Philippine ship, causing temporary blindness to her crew. Now, how isn't that an armed attack or an armed assault? Imagine the Philippine Coast Guard crew trying to steer their ship in shallow waters while blind. Um, it is to their credit, the credit of the Philippine Coast Guard, that they somehow managed to de-escalate the situation, because they would have definitely been justified to fire or to retaliate at the Chinese ship. Of course, if they did that, this part of the world would have probably uh, there would have been drastic changes in this part of the world as a result of that incident. By the way, this place where the confrontation took place is more or less a little over 100 nautical miles from Palawan, the Philippines, and a little over 700 nautical miles from the nearest point in China. Just to give you some perspective as to how large China's claim is on the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea as we know it here. Also, that incident happened not 4 days. It happened on February 6th. Not 4 days after Washington and Manila announced an expansion in their mutual defense pact. So, under the expanded defense cooperation agreement, the Philippines is opening up its military bases again after over 30 years uh, to U.S. troops, so that the American troops can once again be stationed here on a more or less permanent basis, or a more permanent basis. Okay, so I think it is a good idea for the current Philippine administration under President Marcos, that uh, they are open to reviving old alliances, old pacts, because quite frankly, a lot is at stake, and the mutual interest, mutual defense interests, and mutual economic interests of the United States and the Philippines are at stake here. Clearly, the next couple of weeks and months is going to be pretty interesting as the situation in the West Philippine Sea heats up. Certainly worth keeping an eye on.